Penny Lynn Webb with CountyLive.tv. I'm here today with our incumbent Republican candidate for Houston County District Attorney, Donna Kaspar. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Penny. Thanks.
So we're entering the last leg of the race.
We had finally gotten right down to it.
How's it feel?
It feels great. I'm really glad we're coming to the close. It's been a long campaign, especially with the super long primary that we had.
Right.
So I'm really glad to get this close to November and seeing it over with.
I'm sure you are. I'm sure you are. Now, there's a lot of talk about transitioning in the last election. This was your first term. How did it go?
I think the first term went really, really well. As far as a transition, I know my previous opponent talked a lot about, don't unelect him because he's gone so far into this transition period that he talked about it. And there always is a transition period.
Right.
But in my case, we got in there, we saw what we had. We took care of all the files that were left over from his administration and started moving through ours, and I think it went really well.
You really hit the ground running.
Well, we had to. We absolutely had to, and we did, and I think it worked out well.
Now, now that you've been district attorney, what makes you the more qualified person for the job?
Well, I think the experience I had before being district attorney and for the last 4 years makes me far more qualified for this position. As many people know, I was assistant district attorney for 2.5 years in Nacogdoches, served as county attorney for 13.5 years here, and now have been district attorney for almost 4 years now. So I think that experience, it's 19 years experience, that qualifies me to be the DA and continue to be so.
Now, you've had some really high-profile cases this last year, and some of them probably didn't go the way you anticipated or as others anticipated or wanted them to go.
Right.
But the law doesn't always work the way we want it to work, and there's lots of variables that will that control the law and how it works. Can you explain some of that to our...
Well, most people get their concept of what it's like in the court system from TV, and that is simply fiction. And it's entertaining, but it is fiction. And the way things go, every case is different. Every case has its own set of facts. It's good points, it's bad points. And we have to work with whatever facts we have. And so a lot of people out in the community will have an idea of what the facts are in each case, but they really don't know them all. And we have to deal with all of those facts. So when the community sees a case that, they just think it's a horrible thing that happened, and it was. There are also oftentimes many factors that or facts that are in that case that they don't know about and might shed a lot of different light on it. So the outcome may be different than they expect, but it's probably as it should be because of the facts, all the facts.
I was recently at one of your jury trials, and I noticed that all the information, the jury doesn't necessarily see all the information that's presented. All the evidence is not presented to the jury. There are certain things that are presented to the judge for the judge to decide what the jury will see. So while the public may be aware of certain things, there are things that the jury never, ever even knows about.
That's correct. When we go to trial, defense attorneys can file motions to suppress evidence, to quash evidence, and there's just a lot of things we have to have hearings over for the judge to determine whether it's relevant to this trial or whether it's overly prejudicial. So there's a lot of things that the jury might expect to hear, or the public might expect the jury to hear, that don't get heard because the judge finds it just simply not relevant to this case, or that it's overly prejudicial in some way. So we have hearings like that all the time. So we know a lot more facts about the case than the jury gets to hear sometimes, and that's just the way the law is.
If a person had questions about a case and the way it went after the fact, during a case you cannot speak about the case.
That's correct.
But after it's all said and done and they want to come ask you something, do you have an open door policy?
Absolutely. They can call, ask for me. Just be sure and tell the secretary why you're calling, because if you say, if you don't say why you're calling, we may not get an opportunity to call you back. But if we know that's what you want, we're more than happy to call people back, because a lot of people have those questions and they don't feel like they can call us. And of course, my opponent in the last election told everybody I don't have an open door policy, so maybe they think they can't call. But certainly we're happy to entertain those questions after a case is over, so we can tell people and help them to understand why things happen the way they happen.
Right, and to get facts instead of rumor and innuendo.
Exactly, and there's always a lot of that.
You're not only the district attorney, you're also an avid volunteer in our community. You're on lots of boards and civic organizations. You're a member of the Lions Club and some other groups, and you're also on Kaylin Center. Why don't you tell us how rewarding that has been for you?
Kaylin Center has been an amazing thing for me to be involved in. I'm glad we have it. Most people don't understand what Kaylin Center is or what it does. But basically, Kaylin Center gives children who are victims of physical or sexual abuse the opportunity to come and tell their story to an unbiased person who will just sit there and ask them questions and let them, open up and get that off their chest. And of course, we then take that and use that in a prosecution if there's something there that needs to be prosecuted. So it's very rewarding to get the opportunity to help kids like that.
Right.
We also do other things with Kaylin Center, though. We go out to schools. We've been to all the schools, and I think we've been to talk to all the teachers. We're going to go back and talk to the students, and we talk to them about physical abuse, sexual abuse. But a couple of the more hot topics would be the bullying and sexting, which is just things that, growing up as a kid, we didn't deal with.
Right.
But those are the things that kids have to face now in this world. So they need to know the consequences of engaging in some of those actions and what to do if they are being abused in some way. So we go out and talk to those kids and hopefully make them understand what they can do, and what they shouldn't do if they're getting into the sexting and that type of thing.
Sounds great. We're so glad you could make it here today and visit with us and talk to us on countylife.tv.
Well, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for inviting me.
Then you want everybody to get out and vote for you, I'm sure.
Absolutely. Voting is November the 6th, and early voting will be 2 weeks prior to that time. So don't miss your opportunity to vote.
So get out there and vote, either early or on the day. And don't forget to continue to log on to countylife.tv.